Chapter 1. Why Criticism, Condemnation, and Complaining Keep You Stuck. Video overview. This chapter explores one of the most transformative principles in human relationships: the extraordinary power of withholding criticism, releasing condemnation, and breaking the habit of complaining. Rooted in timeless biblical wisdom and practical psychology, this lesson will permanently reshape how you see and treat the people around you. Opening. The mirror we rarely look into. Have you ever said something critical to someone you love and watched the light go out of their eyes? Have you ever complained about a situation for so long that you started to believe nothing would ever change? Have you ever condemned someone for their choices, only to make the very same mistake yourself a few years later? If you answered yes to any of those questions, welcome. You are human. But here's what I want to explore with you today. What if the very habits we think are helping us, criticizing to correct, condemning to protect our standards, complaining to cope, are actually the invisible walls that separate us from the relationships, peace, and influence we desperately want? Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Matthew 7:3, NIV. Jesus didn't say that to shame us. He said it to free us. Because when we are consumed with the faults of others, we become blind to our own growth. And a person who cannot see their own blind spots cannot lead, love, or live well. Today we are going to talk about 3 deeply ingrained habits: criticism, condemnation, and complaining, and why breaking free from all 3 is one of the single greatest things you can do for your life, your relationships, and your soul. Part 1. The illusion of criticism, why we criticize, and why it doesn't work. Let's start with criticism. Not the healthy kind. The kind a mentor gives you in private, wrapped in respect and care. I'm talking about the reflexive, reactive criticism we use to express frustration, establish superiority, or vent our disappointment onto another person. We criticize because we genuinely believe it will change behavior. We think, if I point out what's wrong, surely they will fix it. If I express how much their actions bother me, they'll understand and adjust. But study after study in psychology tells us something different. Criticism doesn't produce lasting change. What it produces is defensiveness, resentment, withdrawal, and, here's the painful part, it often causes the criticized person to dig deeper into the very behavior you wanted them to stop. The biology of criticism. When someone hears a critical remark, the brain doesn't process it as helpful feedback. It processes it as a threat. The amygdala, the brain's alarm system, fires up. Blood flow shifts away from the rationale, reasoning prefrontal cortex and moves toward the fight or flight survival response. In other words, criticism literally shuts down the part of the brain that could actually receive and act on your message. You've made your point, but no one home is listening. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Ephesians 4:29, NIV. Notice what Paul says there. The standard for our words is not whether they are true. It's whether they build up, whether they meet the other person's actual need. Criticism rarely does either. The story of the father and the fence. Picture. A father who is frustrated that his teenage son keeps losing his temper. Every day, the boy snaps, says harsh things, and then apologizes. The father, at his wit's end, has a creative idea. He hands the boy a bag of nails and says, "Every time you lose your temper today, go drive a nail into the wooden fence in the backyard." By the end of the first day, there are 37 nails in the fence. The boy is embarrassed. Slowly, over the following weeks, the number drops. 5, then 2, then 1, then none. The father congratulates him and then says, "Now, every day you keep your temper, pull 1 nail out." After many weeks, all the nails are gone. The boy runs to his father, proud. The father walks him to the fence, puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "You've done well, son, but look at the holes." the fence will never be the same. When you say things in anger or harshness, even when you apologize, they leave marks. Choose your words like you're hammering nails. Key insight: criticism leaves holes. Even when forgiven, the marks remain. Every word we speak, or don't speak, shapes the landscape of our relationships. What to do instead of criticizing. So if criticism doesn't work, what does? Here is a principle worth writing down. Before you criticize, ask yourself 3 questions. Is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? If your comment cannot pass all 3 tests, it's worth keeping to yourself, or finding a gentler, more effective way to express it. Lead with curiosity, not accusation. Instead of, "You always do this," try, "Help me understand what happened here." Address the behavior, not the person. That decision caused a problem is far more productive than "You are so irresponsible." Give people a reputation to live up to. Tell someone they are capable, trustworthy, or thoughtful, and they will often rise to meet it. Speak in private. Public criticism humiliates. Private encouragement transforms. The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Proverbs 12:18, NIV. Wisdom isn't about being silent. It's about being intentional. The wise person still speaks truth, still addresses problems, still raises concerns, but they do it with healing as the goal, not victory. Part 2. The trap of condemnation, judging others, and what it costs us. Condemnation is criticism's deeper, darker cousin. Where criticism targets actions, condemnation targets a person's worth. It says, "Not only did you do wrong, but you are wrong. You are broken. You are beyond grace." We do this quietly, often without realizing it. We label people. We write them off. We decide, based on limited information, that we understand the full story of who someone is. And we convict them in the courtroom of our minds. We condemn the struggling parent we see losing patience in the grocery store. We condemn the coworker who made the same mistake twice. We condemn the public figure whose failures we read about online. And in doing so, we position ourselves as the standard by which all others fall short. You, therefore, have no excuse. You who pass judgment on someone else. For at whatever point you judge another, you are condemning yourself, because you who pass judgment do the same things. Romans 2:1, NIV. Paul's words here are some of the most confronting in all of Scripture. The things we are quickest to condemn in others are often the very shadows of the battles we fight ourselves. The person who condemns dishonesty is often hiding something. The person who condemns weakness is often terrified of their own fragility. The parable of the unmerciful servant. In Matthew 18, Jesus tells a story that captures this perfectly. A servant owes his king an enormous debt, more than he could repay in a lifetime. He falls to his knees and begs for mercy. The king, moved with compassion, forgives the entire debt, wipes the ledger clean. That same servant then goes out and finds a fellow servant who owes him a tiny sum by comparison. He grabs him by the throat and demands immediate payment. When the man cannot pay, he has him thrown into prison. When the king hears of it, he is outraged. He calls the servant back and says, "I forgave you everything. Could you not extend even a fraction of that grace to another?" The story is not subtle. We have all been forgiven of staggering amounts. Every kindness we've received, every second chance, every grace extended. These are gifts we did not earn. And yet how quickly we become the unmerciful servant the moment someone fails to meet our standard. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you? Matthew 18:33, NIV. Reflection moment. Think of one person you have condemned, written off, labeled, dismissed. Now ask yourself, what would it mean to see them the way you hope to be seen on your worst day? The freedom of releasing condemnation. Here is something almost nobody tells you. Releasing condemnation isn't just good for the other person. It is profoundly liberating for you. When you hold someone in contempt, you are emotionally chained to them. Every time you think of them, you feel the tightening of that chain. The anger, the righteous indignation, the replay of their offense. You are giving them enormous real estate in your heart and mind, rent-free. But when you release condemnation, when you extend the same mercy you hope to receive, you take back that space. You breathe more freely. You see people with more complexity and compassion. And ironically, you become far more effective at actually influencing positive change in the people around you. Condemnation closes doors. Grace opens them. Condemnation confirms failure. Belief in someone's potential invites transformation. Condemnation exhausts the one who holds it. Mercy lightens the heart. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Luke 6:37, NIV. Jesus is not saying that evil actions have no consequences, or that we should never make moral distinctions. He is saying, don't appoint yourself as the final judge of another human soul. Leave that to the one who actually knows the whole story. Part 3. The Drain of Complaining. How complaining rewires you, and what to do instead. And now we come to the most socially acceptable of our 3 habits: complaining. If criticism attacks others and condemnation judges them, complaining is what we do to ourselves and our environment. It is the running commentary in our heads and the constant narrative on our lips that says, things should be different from how they are. Let me say something you may not have heard before. Complaining feels productive. It feels like you're doing something about the problem. You're naming it, you're sharing it, you're processing it. But neurologically, complaining is one of the most self-defeating habits a person can develop. What complaining does to your brain. Research in neuroscience has revealed a fascinating and sobering truth. The neural pathways in our brains are shaped by repetition. Every thought we think carves a groove, a pathway. And the more we think it, the deeper and more automatic that groove becomes. When you complain habitually, you are literally training your brain to scan the world for problems. You are wiring in a negativity bias so powerful that even genuinely good things will struggle to register. The brain you're building through complaint is a brain that is perpetually dissatisfied, no matter what changes in your circumstances. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Philippians 4:8, NIV. Paul wrote this from prison, not from a comfortable home, not from a season of blessing, but from a cell. He understood something that modern neuroscience is only beginning to confirm. What you focus on expands. What you rehearse, you reinforce. What you dwell on becomes your world. The complaining contagion. Beyond what it does to us internally, complaining is extraordinarily contagious. Research on social contagion shows that mood, attitude, and outlook spread through social networks like a virus. When one person in a group begins to complain, others quickly follow. Negativity has a social gravity that is hard to resist. This means that when you choose to be a complainer, you are not simply affecting your own outlook. You are pulling the people you love, work with, and lead into the same fog. Your children absorb it. Your spouse internalizes it. Your team mirrors it back. But the reverse is also beautifully true. Gratitude is contagious. Encouragement spreads. The person who chooses to look for what is working and say so out loud becomes a kind of emotional anchor for everyone around them. Challenge. For the next 24 hours, make a conscious decision. Every time you feel the impulse to complain, pause and ask, is there anything in this situation I can be grateful for? Write down what you notice. Complaint versus constructive concern. Now, I want to be careful here, because there is a meaningful difference between complaining and raising a legitimate concern. Complaining is venting with no intention to change anything. It rehearses the problem without moving toward a solution. Constructive concern, on the other hand, names a problem with the goal of addressing it. The test is simple. Am I talking about this to someone who can actually help change it? Am I willing to be part of the solution? If the answer is no, if you're just venting to feel heard, that is the definition of complaining, and it is costing you more than you know. Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18, NIV. Give thanks in all circumstances, not for all circumstances. There's a profound distinction there. You don't have to pretend that hard things aren't hard. You don't have to manufacture fake positivity. But you can, in any circumstance, find something to be grateful for. And that practice, done consistently, will reshape your entire relationship with life. Closing. Becoming someone worth following. Let's bring this home. We started by asking, what if the habits we think are helping us are actually the invisible walls between us and the life we want? Criticism doesn't correct. It closes people off. Condemnation doesn't protect standards. It poisons relationships and hollows out our own compassion. Complaining doesn't process pain. It programs our brains for permanent dissatisfaction. But here is what I want you to hear most clearly. This is not about being passive. It's not about swallowing hard truths or pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing power over reactivity. It's about becoming the kind of person who influences others through genuine respect and belief, not through judgment and negativity. The most influential people in history, the leaders, the teachers, the parents who changed lives, were almost never remembered for how effectively they criticized. They were remembered for how deeply they believed in the people around them, for how they saw potential where others saw failure, for how they spoke life into rooms filled with discouragement. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Proverbs 18:21, NIV. Life and death. Those are not small stakes. Every conversation you enter today, you carry that power. You will either use your words to give life, to encourage, to build, to heal, or you will use them to diminish, to wound, to burden. The good news, the genuinely great news, is that this is a skill, a muscle, something you can train starting today, starting right now, starting with the very next conversation you have. Your 3 commitments this week. Before criticizing someone, pause for 10 seconds. Ask, will this build them up or tear them down? Then decide whether to speak and how. Identify one person you have condemned in your heart. Choose to release that judgment. You don't have to announce it to them. Just let it go, privately, as an act of your own freedom. Start a gratitude practice. Each morning, name 3 specific things you are genuinely thankful for. Not generic blessings, but specific, present, real gifts. Watch what happens to your day. Let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification. Romans 14:19, NIV. Edification. That word means building up. It's a construction metaphor. Every relationship in your life is a building site, and you are one of the chief architects. The question is, what are you building? Today we choose to build something worth living in, something worth passing on, something that reflects the grace we ourselves have been given. Thank you for being here. If this message has encouraged you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And I'll see you in the next chapter. Scripture reference list. Matthew 7:3. Plank and speck. Self-reflection before judging others. Ephesians 4:29. Words that build up versus unwholesome talk. Proverbs 12:18. Words that pierce versus words that heal. Romans 2:1. Judging others and condemning yourself. Matthew 18:33. Parable of the unmerciful servant. Luke 6:37. Do not judge, do not condemn, forgive. Philippians 4:8. Thinking on what is true, noble, lovely. 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18. Rejoice, pray, give thanks in all circumstances. Proverbs 18:21. The tongue holds the power of life and death. Romans 14:19. Pursue peace and mutual edification.